Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Anyone's Game. This week, on a sombre occasion for England, we're joined by two football specialists, Jamie Hamilton and Matt Tyzack, and we've also got producer Sarah.
Hello. Hello.
And me, James. So today we're going to be talking about the England manager resignation. Fabio Capello's gone, he's flown home. Favourite is David Beckham. I don't think I've made any factual inaccuracies so far. We're going to be talking about the next favourite. Should Capello have gone? A bit more football as well. Look ahead to Rugby Union, the next round of the Six Nations. Look ahead to the weekend's football and Formula 1.
Do you think that David Beckham is the favourite?
I think so.
I think that's a very bold statement.
I think maybe he's just James's favourite.
He's got all the qualifications.
He's my favourite. It's those adverts that he's doing at the moment.
Ooh,
the
boxer
promo
short
ones.
He's got some, got some rather lovely pants at the
I
moment.
think the next England manager has to have the balls for the job.
Oh, very good. I was surprised by how affordable the pants were. Only $9.99,
Really?
I believe.
H&M.
Yeah, H&M.
I thought he was a more classy fellow than that.
Other underpants are available.
But none that you would want to buy.
Yeah.
So what do you think? I think Redknapp is almost talking himself into the job. What I found most interesting about the whole situation is how about half of the Manchester United team have come out and said, "Oh, I'd absolutely love Harry Redknapp to do that," which is really strange considering that they're title rivals, effectively. So they're talking about their managers' chances of staying in the job.
That's
and
interesting speculation.
Yeah,
maybe
I
they're
wonder
trying
whether
to
it's
get them
all
away
settled
from Spurs.
Tottenham.
Who knows? Maybe
That's
it's a
gotta be-
tactical
that's
ploy
gotta
by
be a
Man
bit
U
of a reason,
players.
hasn't it?
Yeah.
Title rivals.
Surely not to do with the fact he's a good manager.
I mean, it depends how in depth you want to go about it. I sort of feel that he's a little. I mean, he's obviously very unproven at international level, but I think someone was saying the other day that in 25 years of club management, he's won one major trophy, which was the FA Cup with Portsmouth, and we sort of know how that ended. And also just the fact that he absolutely loves spending money, and you can't do that in the England
Matt,
team.
are you saying the 25 years, only one major trophy shows that he shouldn't be manager is a reason for why he shouldn't be manager?
Yeah, I don't think he's got.
But surely got to look at the clubs that he managed. Southampton, Portsmouth. They've generally been lower.
It's a different kind of pressure, though, taking those teams up, having success with them, and having success at the highest level. I mean, it's always success, but
I mean, you
will
look
the pressure of God forbid, a semi-final get to him.
However, whatever you think of Capello as England manager, he came to the England job with an incredibly successful club career,
showing that the record isn't the factor that you need to go by.
Yeah,
because
but
his record internationally wasn't great.
There was some comments by an FA council this afternoon that Fabio should have gone in 2010.
I agree. I think he should have gone straight after the World Cup.
He's got the highest win percentage of any English manager, but none of us wanted him to stay.
I think that's fine, but you expect England as a team to get through the qualifying group. Maybe incorrectly you expect him to get through comfortably, and obviously that didn't happen under McLaren. But I think the fact that he's got a very good win ratio is partly reflected by the fact that he only went to one major tournament. We failed absolutely abysmally at that, and I really, really care about this because I don't really support a club team. So England is the one time that I really get this amazing sense of belonging, and I absolutely love it. And I was absolutely crushed when we performed so poorly in South Africa and there were all those problems. I think he should have gone then.
Do you think that was Capello's fault though?
Yeah, but I don't think you can put all the blame on Capello at all because the players obviously weren't up for it. But then whose job is it to get them up for it?
Exactly.
But then I'm not sure. I was reading an article the other day that was saying that it was by Tom Fordyce on the BBC, and he was saying that every next England manager is always a reaction to the previous one.
Always.
So we've had a disciplinarian, so now we're going to have someone that can come in
Very
and be
laid back, yeah.
laid back, kind of mates with the players and doesn't, not
Ricky
too strict. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know. I think it's D-Beck is a bit of a different situation, but I think to assume that Redknapp is going to be the best man for the job means that we've not really looked at any of the other options, and that would be a shame.
I don't think there are that many other options, though. I really don't at the moment. The FA has made it abundantly clear that they are going to go English, and I cannot see any other options at the moment than Redknapp.
Problem with Harry is there's two things, is that he's had this trial, he came out, and the first people he thanked were the Spurs fans, and you think he owes them something now. You think he's going to stay at least till the end of the season, and that's not useful for England in terms of mounting a successful challenge to the European Championships. And also, he's 64 now. He had a heart problem in the autumn. England managers usually in the later stages of their career, so rather than somebody young, we do want somebody older and more experienced. But I mean, how long is he going to be there for if he does come in?
So does that mean that if he is the England manager, he effectively gets to buy Peter Crouch again? It's just incredible. Like it'll clearly bring Crouch in.
I mean, we can't
Crouch
comment
and
on the
Defoe up
financial
front.
transactions of being England manager, but
Well, I've got a bit of an off-the-wall suggestion, and I know that they've said English or British manager, and I can understand why you want a manager that understands the footballing culture of the country that you're managing. That's completely understandable.
But it's more than that. The players have said they're ready for an England manager now.
Yeah, but
which is very important, I think, and you can't overlook that.
True, but England managers haven't been more successful than foreign managers. So, all right, off-the-wall suggestion, slightly, and I've not seen this name mentioned anywhere else. Rafa Benitez, right? He knows the English game. He's got a lot of respect. Well, I'm on board with Camp Rafa, right? Think about it. He's very, very good in cup competitions.
how about Fabio Capello? Because he's more qualified than Rafa, better standard of football, and he's also available. I mean,
You look. Can I take you back to the Benitez point, right?
Yeah, go on. Yeah. I'm quite happy
We're
to.
talking. Okay, he fluked his way to a Champions League victory with Liverpool somehow, right? He then took over Inter Milan the season before that Jose Mourinho won the treble with, the first time they've won the treble.
played some good football as well.
Within a few weeks of him taking over, they were outside the top 10.
But
He does not have a good record.
the difference is, though, right? He was going into, that's what I'm saying, he was going into a different footballing culture. He was going into Italian football, having had no record of anything to do with Italy. He'd gone into there, and fair enough, he failed, but I don't see that makes him unsuitable for the England job in any way. And you look you look at half-time in Istanbul. You know, you're telling me that he's not a great motivator. And I watched a lot of Liverpool around that time because I was living in Liverpool. And they were a great team to watch, and watching them with like their backs to the walls with 10 minutes to go in the second leg of a Champions League semi-final, for example, where everything was just coming at them and Carragher was heading everything away.
That was the Benitez of 2005. Though.
Exactly. I think what you've done there, Matt, is you forgot the 5 years that preceded that final.
A.D. Boothroyd 5 years ago was the next England manager.
What about part-time? Do you think Redknapp can do it part-time and still manage Spurs?
What, has he said something about this morning?
I think today, in the press conference today, I think he said that it wouldn't be ideal. I don't think he wants to do it. I think he kind of ruled it out, yeah. But then Redknapp rules a lot of things out, you know?
Yeah.
what do we think of Stuart Pearce? There's a candidate.
Not good enough. Honestly, bluntly, not good enough. I don't think tactically good enough. Motivator, manager, but tactically not up there. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. And we've just got a message on the screen from Sarah saying poor record with under-21s, which is absolutely correct. The under-21s, you look at that team, some great players in that team.
Very good players.
They should have done better.
But so should Fabio Capello.
Well, yeah, but that's the England thing. I mean, it all comes down to getting someone that gets these players to want to play for England. And I'm not sure who that is. And if it is Redknapp, getting them to want to play.
Terry
A foreign manager?
Mourinho, I don't think. Mourinho's interesting because you look at the clubs that he's been at, and they're all clubs that have had a record of success, with the exception of Chelsea, and they had all the money. So I don't see why Mourinho would want to do it. And apparently he said that he doesn't want to manage an international team until probably Portugal. That'll be towards the end of his career, probably when he's sort of 50, 60. I think he'll probably come back to the Premier League. I just don't see what's in him for it. And he wants to be involved. You know, there's no way that he's going to go and watch loads and loads of football games without being involved and look at Glenn Johnson playing left back for Liverpool on a rainy night at Anfield.
So if Harry goes to England, Mourinho to Spurs?
No, I think, and
This sounds like an exclusive is about to break.
It is an exclusive.
Insert jingle.
Mourinho will be the next Liverpool manager. I can guarantee that. Kenny Dalglish is an appalling manager.
They are not a good side to watch.
Oh, don't even get me started on Liverpool's style at the moment and the way they play football.
Okay, I got in a bit of an argument today with a couple of people on Twitter. It started off with one of my friends who's very deep into the Liverpool community. He's really embedded in the cop practically. He's called Robbie Fowler as well, which is quite funny. No, unfortunately. But he tweeted something about how the media had reacted to the Liverpool in the last few weeks, and he said the media need Liverpool more than we need them. And I said to him, what an unbelievably arrogant thing to say. That typifies
scouse through comment. It is ridiculous.
And on the other hand, to give a bit of balance to that, my housemate is a Liverpool fan and very, very moderate. And I'm sure there are lots of Liverpool fans with very moderate opinions, very sensible opinions. But that really irritated me. The fact that Liverpool have got this divine right to take the moral high ground. They've made a lot of bad decisions over the last few weeks.
I think you're talking about how, well, we were saying how poor a side they are to watch, how few goals they've scored at home and away. And he's just taking it back to the tactics when he was last manager. When they just lump the ball in.
10 men behind the ball.
Pick an expensive target man and just hope for the best.
Yeah. And again, to give them balance, they've got some good results over the past few weeks. And Bellamy's been very, very good for them. He's been sort of the bright spark in that team. Looks like Gerrard might be getting towards being, such a good player again. But I don't know. It just seems a bit of a shame that Liverpool fans have got this attitude of this is where we deserve to be. Well, you've signed poor players for lots of money. What do you expect?
So looking ahead to the weekend, they play United in the league. Jamie, if listeners hadn't already been able to guess, you are a United fan.
No, I am a United fan, but I'll try and
moderate
stick my bias to one side. Now, let's talk about the Liverpool United record, because, as we know, they knocked us out of the Cup. And they also knocked Manchester City out of the Cup by employing the same tactics that you mentioned and I mentioned. Very defensive, very negative, sticking men behind the ball and just lumping it forward. It's almost like, reminds me of the crazy guy in Wimbledon. So I think we're going to get one back on them this weekend. I can see it being a 3-0. I think we'll be up for it. I think we'll be really up for it. But I'm not biased.
I was watching the Chelsea United game last weekend with my Liverpool supporting housemate, and he couldn't. His loyalties were just torn. He couldn't decide what he wanted, because if Chelsea had won, it would have taken him further away from Liverpool. But obviously, he didn't want United to win. So he was there as those 3 goals were going in the second half. The United come back, not knowing what to do.
Man.
Well, I guess we should move off football, because I could just sort of talk forever.
From the Big
about
Six
football,
to the Six Nations.
Oh yeah, that's good.
That's
a
segue. Yeah.
So I have to be perfectly honest. I know very little about rugby, but I mean it seems like England have radically changed to what the team was in New Zealand.
New manager. It was 8 new players that came in. New captain.
9 uncapped players in the squad.
Players.
3 on the pitch last week.
And did that
Starting
show?
match.
Did they look like a refreshed and rejuvenated team?
It's a fighting performance.
They looked like an inexperienced team, which is what they were. Certainly compared to Scotland, they had less than half the number of caps in their starting lineup than the Scots did. But they came through it. Murrayfield's a horrible place for England to go. They have a very poor record there against Scotland, and it was a pretty terrible game for long stretches. But they came through with a win, and I think most England fans, given the kind of mess that the squad and the management was left in, especially after the World Cup, will kind of settle for that at the moment.
And Dan Parks has retired, hasn't he? But he's so pretty. That team's got a bit less pretty with him retiring.
That's true. The Scotland team's never been regarded.
They've got
that
young blonde guy who's got those locks of hair.
Well, I haven't seen
Richie
him.
Gray.
Yeah,
he's
no.
6'9"
He's
or something.
Oh, that's too tall for me. Anyway, what was the other result? It was Ireland beat Wales.
Wales beat Ireland.
Sorry.
Away in Dublin, 23-21.
Yeah.
It was a
Correction.
cracking game. Absolutely excellent game.
And France finally managed to overcome Italy.
They
Despite
did,
last
yeah.
year's.
After last year's disappointment, they bounced back and beat Italy, who were looking pretty interesting, I have to say. They were really trying to play a bit more creatively than they perhaps have done in the past, and kind of string some phases together. I think they dominated possession for long periods, but as tends to happen with kind of slightly smaller nations, there was just a lot of errors that let them down. I think Scotland would say a similar thing against England.
How do you think it's going to end up? Who's going to win?
I went for France before it started, and I think I'm going to stick with that. I mean, they managed to win comfortably against a much improved Italy side without playing very well. And that's something that they haven't been able to do in the past. They've always had a very talented squad, but they've always been incredibly inconsistent. And now they've got Philippe Saint-André coaching, who's a very well-respected manager.
Former Sale Sharks manager.
Indeed, yeah. They just look far more organised, and they look like a team that can grind out a win, which they never did before. So I think they're going to be very, very difficult to beat.
What's going to be the sort of the key crunch match then? Is it them and Wales, I guess?
I think you'd have to say so. Yeah, I think my prediction now, if I was going to make one, would be France to win and Wales second in the table. Especially since Wales had that really important win away against Ireland, who are always a tough team to beat. Actually, France-Ireland this weekend is going to be a really important game, I think. If France come through that, then their sort of title credentials will be much stronger.
And England?
I would like to say third, but I suspect they may end up below Ireland.
Not an optimist, though.
I'm not, I have to say, just because I was an optimist until the World Cup. My faith was thoroughly shaken by that experience, so I'm a bit more sceptical.
They were
a
very
bit more
lucky.
Cautious now.
Very lucky against Scotland. I mean,
They were. If Scotland had managed to hang on to the ball in a lot of the promising situations that they were in and had not made a kind of catalogue of basic errors, then England would have lost that game. And against better teams, they're not going to get away with that.
James Hook, why wasn't he fly half
Against Ireland?
Yeah.
He's not particularly experienced in that position, which I think is why they went with Priestland. I thought that when Hook came on, he might take over the kicking duties, but I suppose, given that they'd kind of taken the responsibility from Priestland because he was not kicking well at all, given it to Halfpenny, who'd done a pretty good job with his first kick or couple of kicks. So I guess you don't want to unsettle things too much. So maybe they felt, well, he's doing a good job. We don't want to take it away from him. But yeah, I did question that when Hook came on about why he wasn't given the kicking duties. But I guess it's a management decision. In the end, they got away with it.
Well, yeah, if it works, it works. What else is happening in sport at the moment? There's the F1 testing. I find it quite hard to follow, actually. Formula One correspondent Charli Burden. Are you excited? We were just talking about Kimi Räikkönen being back. He went fastest in the first day of testing.
I'm really excited about Kimi Räikkönen being back. He was a complete legend. He's coming back to Lotus, isn't he? Who used to be Renault last season.
Is that a drop from Ferrari?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Well,
they didn't do too badly last year, but is no Ferrari. So it'll be quite interesting to see, because I'd imagine considering how Michael Schumacher did a few years ago, it must take some adjusting to leave as number one and come back slightly lower down in a slightly worse car, and you're never going to do as well as you did before, I'd imagine.
But I don't think he really took to rallying. And you look at the glitz of Formula One, which I guess is somewhat exaggerated, especially by Sky. It's going to be ridiculous. But you look at that compared to rallying, and you really think that's got to be a bit nicer than getting muddy and wet in the field in Finland or wherever.
It's true.
But no, I mean, it will be interesting to see. I just hope that Vettel is not quite as dominant as he was last season, because the new technology, DRS and KERS, has made it incredibly exciting racing. But if you've got one person sailing away at the front of the
last season did get a bit boring. It was a Vettel show.
I have to admit that I did give up halfway through the season.
No, see, I didn't. I was there right till the end, just because yes, Vettel won it, but you didn't know who was going to come second, and in the end it was Button, and that was great.
Can I ask you, Charlie, as an outsider,
okay,
what it is about Formula One that you enjoy so much?
I really
because
like.
I cannot see it.
See, I prefer it to any other sport because I find it more exciting, which I know you don't understand, but I just do. I can't describe it. It's the drivers and it's the glitz and it's the glamour, and then it'll rain and it changes everything, or it might, I don't know, the sun might come out, a tyre will burst, like anything could happen. It's so exciting. They go to really cool places all around the world, and I don't know,
But as you two were just saying, Vettel dominated last year. Before that, obviously, there was the Schumacher generation. Is it not predictable?
Not at the moment. Yes, okay, fair enough. Vettel ran away with last year, but actually underneath that, there was a great fight going on between McLaren and Ferrari and the Red Bulls, and that bit was what made it interesting. And you had at the moment there are so many people that have won it in recent years that, especially at the beginning of the season, you're watching it thinking, oh, well, it might be their year and they might win this race, and then who knows what might happen. So for me, I'm a huge Lewis Hamilton fan, and yeah, okay, he did rubbish last year, but this year he might do better again, and it's that, I think, that makes it quite exciting.
I think also, you can look at, say, compare it to football. You know that Man United play a game. There's a good chance that they'll win.
That's true.
But you still watch it because sometimes you want to see how they win. Sometimes you watch it because you hope they won't win. Sometimes they might be 1-0 up and hanging on for the entire game. And you can have a 0-0 game in football that can be incredibly exciting. And just because the outcome might be more or less predictable, then that doesn't make it a great sport. I remember watching Schumacher in his absolute heyday, and watching it with a friend of my mum's, who is quite posh middle-aged woman, and it was at Silverstone, and someone's distracted me then. It was at Silverstone, and Schumacher went off into a barrier, broke both his legs, and this middle-aged woman was like, yes, 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 and then like, wait a minute, hang on, you just gotta, and that was purely because it was so frustrating that he was winning absolutely everything, but then you look at him and he was an absolute genius, calculating and a bit horrible, but a genius.
But one thing I've never understood about Formula One is the money that's in it. The money, I mean, even forget football. It's far in excess of football, isn't it?
Oh, it is.
Well, yeah, but I mean, there's 24 drivers now. They're the best 24 drivers in the world, arguably, in any discipline. So I guess you look at the pool of professional footballers, it's much, much, much bigger.
I think the other thing about it as well is that it's the technology that goes on behind it, because I got to go to Silverstone a couple of years ago, and we went into Ferrari, and they were showing how the different things that they put in the fuel and the technical procedures that go on behind it, and it was fascinating. And suddenly you could see exactly why it costs so much, because so much goes into those cars, and it's not just all about the driving.
What I find even more crazy about the whole thing is that effectively one person is the sole rights holder for it, Bernie Ecclestone. It's just crazy. He's got total control over the sport, practically. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable.
What do you think about his daughter?
Tamara, I'll tell you tomorrow. No, just awful. No, she's a spoilt person, I think. It's fair to say. I
think we're diverging off the sport, though.
Yeah.
Even though I asked the question.
I can't take responsibility for answering the question.
Right, what's next? What's on the sports agenda?
Well, I saw that Contador was stripped of his Tour de France win, which is kind of crazy.
That's huge.
I think that's really, really big in the cycling world. Which I can't say that I'm massively well up on that. But and Lance Armstrong he's fine now, isn't he?
They took the drugs ban off him, didn't they?
Yeah, I think. Well,
right?
they said that they're not going to investigate further, or there's something like that. But it's all a bit. I don't know. I think it does give cycling a bit of a very bad name. If the winner of the most prestigious race in cycling is stripped of it.
At the last Sports Personality Awards, my granddad is a huge golf fan, and I think maybe this biased him slightly. But every time we got onto the topic, because it was Mark Cavendish that was in line to win it, he'd go, "Oh, I don't want cyclists to win it. There's so many drugs in cycling," and that's it. That's all you ever got. And it was kind of like, well, actually, it's probably changed quite a lot since. But it's stories like this one that you're like, oh yeah.
Yeah, and Lars Ulrich, who's a sprinter, he was done for it as well, wasn't he? Recently, I think he's a sprinter, road racer. I don't know.
And what's the situation with Dwayne Chambers? He's got the ban for life for Olympics, hasn't he?
Oh,
but
yeah.
Wasn't there something recently about another ban being lifted?
As far as I'm aware, it's the British Olympic Association, the BOA, has this bylaw that any British athlete who tests positive for any banned substance gets an automatic lifetime Olympic ban, and that's a specifically British thing. And WADA, lovely acronym, World Anti-Doping Agency has declared that bylaw is not compatible with WADA's own rules, which don't ban athletes for life. And that potentially could open the door for people like Dwayne Chambers to pursue their cases and try and get the ban overturned. The last I knew was that it was going to this issue was going to the Court of Arbitration for Sport, and I don't think we've had a result on that yet. I don't even know if the case has started. It sounds like an incredibly bureaucratic process.
Yeah, I think
So
it is. But
it
I mean,
could be a while.
presumably restraint of trade is an issue here. So I don't know. I mean, it's not very exciting.
But
But
will he win anything anymore?
Is he still fast?
I think
I mean,
he's still
he's
fast.
getting on a little bit, isn't he?
He's still probably He is still Britain's top male sprinter, which doesn't say a lot for
Have we not got
British
anything
sprinting in
else?
general.
Can we not have a look round the back somewhere?
Yeah.
There's got to
I
be
mean,
something.
I used to be. I could do a good dash at the 100
Go on then,
yard
Jamie.
sprint. It's too small in here, obviously.
Isn't the point though with the drugs is that, and perhaps that's the logic behind the British body's decision, is that the drugs help them grow their muscles, and these muscles they've still got them now. So you wouldn't still be Britain's fastest if you hadn't taken the drugs.
Well, if that's the
Good
case,
point.
then there's something fundamentally wrong with WADA's kind of stance on it. But I don't know. I
It would
wouldn't.
be quite interesting though to let him run it, just because he probably would be slower and he wouldn't win it. So then maybe he
could
wouldn't
run
want to.
alongside Thea, just not in
Yeah, yeah, just outside.
Just to show them.
And Jamie could as well.
Well,
Yeah.
if I was a betting man,
If
I'd
they're
put
lucky.
all my money on the Jamaicans. I mean, it'd be really interesting to see if there was a Jamaican top three. That'd be absolutely incredible.
Maybe not automatically Usain though, with his
The
injuries
other
he's been
guy's
having.
quicker, isn't he? He
The-
won it recently.
The other guy.
Johan Blake. Johan Blake won at the World Championships, although Usain Bolt did get disqualified in the final, so that probably had something to do with it.
Yeah, I think.
But there's a whole
Bolt
group
would
of
have-
them now,
Is it Asafa
Jamaicans.
Powell? Is
There's
he-
Bolt, there's Asafa Powell still running well, though tends to suffer a bit at big competitions. I think he's got a lot of issues with nerves that he never quite gets over in the big races. But of course, there's Tyson Gay as well, injured for the World Championships.
Are they
but
all
presumably
Jamaican?
will- No,
No,
Tyson Gay is
American.
American.
Yeah.
But Bolt, Powell, and this guy Johan Blake, who won at the World Championships last summer, are all Jamaican.
And who is that? The French one?
Lemaitre,
Yeah, because he's
Christophe Lemaitre. He's
The white sprinter.
the only white sprinter.
the only white sprinter. Yeah, that's the one. He's the European champion currently. He's the only. I think he's still the only white man to go sub 10 seconds.
So clearly, Jamie, what you've got to do is go and move out to Jamaica for a few months. By the time July gets here, you might have a chance.
And eat some chicken nuggets.
I was going to say
Yeah.
eat some jerk chicken, but I didn't
Yeah.
want to stereotype.
Well,
No,
that's
chicken nuggets.
that's what I was
Oh,
saying,
right.
Bolt. I wasn't just massively stereotyping.
Oh no, you're correct. No, I'm throwing allegations left, right, and
Yeah,
centre. Unfair ones.
there's a shop in Brixton called the Universal Jerk Centre. I suggest you go and have a
love
look.
it. I love
have a
this
look.
stuff.
Yeah, it's good. It's good.
So what else have we got?
Deafening silence.
I think we could have left it on the Universal Jerk Centre. That would have nicely summed up the.
That would have been quite a nice finish, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's probably it for this week. So thank you very much to our guests.
Thank you. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you.
See you for episode 8.